Hey guys, Mark Allen, BH Spring Solutions LLC and BHSpringSolutions.com, back again for the next session of BH Spring Solutions evaluation and analysis of the Springfield SA-35 high power pistol, and as part of our special segment in High Power University at BH Spring Solutions LLC and BHSpringSolutions.com. And here's the one that we've been working with now for, as we're making this, we're 24 days of result in this one. It started out looking just like this one here in the beginning, and what we're doing here with this one is we are preparing for a graduation ceremony from High Power University for this particular Springfield. This is the one that's been the subject all the way through the first 8 or 9 sessions, I think. And you can see that is the same pistol, and we just, so we knew, and everybody could see, that's the hardness testing mark that we did when we started out with this handgun. There's another one I think shows up right there, but anyway, those are war wounds from the evaluation and from the testing, but Moni on this one. This is a brand new Springfield SA-35. This is one of our associates' handguns that he sent to us. We've got more on the way to the BH Service Center today for BH optimization of the Springfield SA-35. This one is new out of the box, has not been fired. That's what we're going to be doing today. However, 2 modifications. We want to let you know about these up front. They are for safety purposes specifically, and I'm going to show you what those are right now, and so that you understand that we haven't replaced anything that's going to affect function. These are margins of safety that are involved here. First one is the Type 1 safety sear lever. You can see as I'm pressing down on it, it's coming right back to my finger. That's because there's a spring under there. That's a BH Spring Solutions safety sear lever with spring. The original type is this one right here. It just came out of this handgun. It has no spring provision and it floats. The fact that it floats means that it's inevitable that that engagement part of that sear lever is going to contact the business part of the sear. That business part of that sear being what makes that hammer go forward to the firing pin and fire. Because we have developed this safety sear lever that's positively positioned, it will not touch the sear before it's time for the weapon to fire. This is a margin of safety that we as a company require on Type 1 sear lever high powers, which the Springfield SA-35 is one. We don't send out customers' high powers back to them with a floating sear lever in them today. That is a required optimization. I see one detail right here. We've kind of got, hopefully that shows up, kind of almost a stick out right there. Normally we want to see this be smooth, this surface going to that firing pin retaining plate right there, and it's kind of not. It's kind of got this edge right there. Just notice that. This particular SA-35, it feels like the sharp edges are not as sharp. There's still plenty of sharp edges. The serrations are sharp. We do have a very rough knife edge right there. Not rough, it's actually very slick knife edge right there. The edge of the beaver tail here, that's one that it's going to, if it gets cozy with the hands, it's not going to feel too great. This SA-35 is going to get our deburring process and a refinish before it goes back to the BH veteran who sent it to us. He's essentially having the same thing done to this one that we did to the SA-35 that we have been talking about. The other thing that we did inside the high power, in this area right here, behind this firing pin retaining plate, you have your firing pin and a firing pin spring. In the high power's design, the spring is what keeps the firing pin from going to the ammunition, going to the primer and firing the weapon. So this is your drop safety, because there's no mechanical drop safety that keeps the firing pin away from the primer. Only your firing pin spring does that. We've installed a heavier firing pin spring in the event we were to have a muzzle drop while we're testing, that's the risk, is when you drop a handgun and it stops abruptly on the muzzle, that firing pin wants to keep going. And if it can get past the resistance of the firing pin spring, then it's going to fire when it hits the ground. Of course, you have a bullet that you don't know where it's going to go. So for our margins of safety, we have replaced these two things, the sear lever and the firing pin spring over to a heavy firing pin spring. Again, these are not things that we're going to be looking at, if we have any malfunctions here today, that we're going to be looking back at these, because these add margins of safety, and we shouldn't be having any kind of malfunctions or concerns caused because of those. So this is kind of the first look today at what we just got back from the BH Custom Shop Service Department, and we're going to be taking that and getting it off of the range for today, actually. But shooting is not finished with that one. Today we are going to, straight out of the box, this particular SA-35 with the two additional margins of safety added. We're just going to start shooting it. We've done nothing to it other than up the margins of safety in those two areas, and we're just going to start shooting it and see what happens. This one, remember, went about 350 rounds before we had any sort of malfunctions whatsoever. And it was failed to extract. That was the ultimate thing that caused us to stop that test. So we're going to be going forward with this one, and we're just going to have some shooting testing today. Okay, we're going to start shooting. I think we've got like 350, 400 rounds, something like that loaded up. And Dave's going to start out shooting. I'm going to kind of be watching the behavior of this pistol and the extraction and the consistency as we go. And Dave, whenever you decide it's my turn, I'll shoot a few. Failed to extract. Okay, now what I was just noticing here, and I want you to stop right there. Let me take this, and we're going to show what this malfunction looks like. Here we go. You're going to see the malfunction here, and that is we left a round there in the chamber. Now that indicates to me that something is not happening. There we go. Something is not holding optimally with the extractor for us to leave one in the chamber like that. The first SA-35, it did the same thing. It took us, so we had to get to about 350 rounds before we had that happen. We had this first magazine. Yeah.
First magazine.
Okay, let's keep going. Okay, your same malfunction. I'm going to stop right here. Keep the gun pointed that way, please. 1, 2. We're getting extraction about 2.5 to 3 feet. This is pretty comparable to what we started out with, the same way in the SA-35 that we worked with the first time. So we're not seeing anything here that's too surprising. But again, we've not done anything to this handgun that has anything to do with extraction. That firing pin spring is not. If that was causing any problems, we would not be firing at all. The Type 1 sear lever has nothing to do with extraction either. Let's keep it going. Failed to extract. Are we still in the first magazine?
Yes.
Okay. Failed to extract. Those are kind of feeling a little sluggish coming out of the chamber, don't they?
Yes.
Yeah, like the chamber's it's plenty tight, I think, on the cartridge casing, it seems. Magazine empty. Failed to extract. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to stop the video here now. One of the things that we noticed in the comments to our YouTube videos and these sessions is, you know, I want to see this thing out of the box, 2,000 rounds, you know, these kind of suggestions and so forth. What, 4 or 5 fails to extract in the first 2 magazines. We don't have anything to prove by continuing this. It's not functioning well. It's not functioning correctly. The extractor is not holding correctly. We're getting extraction distance that's a meager about 2.5 feet. You can see that in the video. We'd like to see at least 4 feet better, you know, that 5, 6, 7, 8 foot, you know, sweet spot range, where we know the slide and the frame are happy with each other, they're letting each other, you know, work and so forth. But this is not what we just experienced. This has nothing to do with the slide cycle rate, although it's not, you know, where we would like to see it. This is purely not holding on to the extracting empty shell casings and leaving them in the barrel. And again, we've done nothing that it would interrupt that or interfere with that specific function of the handgun. We changed margins of safety. But at this point today, we had about 400 rounds loaded up, and I'm going to terminate this. We don't have anything to prove by continuing to have these malfunctions. Malfunctions are never 100% safe regardless. And so I'm calling it for today, and we're not going to continue with this out of the box SA-35. Okay, well, so since we abandoned our testing today with the stock SA-35 out of the box, I wanted to come out here. We're going to take a quick look. That's what Dave was doing with the SA-35 stock. Now we're going to go for the left target. In between the malfunctions, and what we've done now is we have got the BH refinished. We're now starting to call that the BH Advanced High Power Pistol, and we've got that one out now. We weren't planning on shooting this one today, but you know what, since this has all come up, has not been shot since the refinish, so we're going to be looking at a lot of things. Give a mag a go, Dave. Okay, we're going to go out back, take a quick look at that target again without any stops or edits or anything. That BH Advanced High Power, we're calling it now, has the BH barrel, and folks, you saw this yourself. That's a pretty major difference right there. Okay, you know what, Dave, I want to do? Hey, let's grab that drum magazine. Now, if we have any malfunctions with this magazine, it don't count. Because I've never had any confidence in these things anyway. But, hey, walk towards the camera with that thing. I think a lot of people don't have any idea that these things even exist, but that's supposedly a 50-round drum magazine and 2-guy job to load those darn things. But anyway, hey, just throw that in. Let's just see what happens. There's no last shot slide hold back with a. Hey, we went clear through that, didn't we?
50 rounds.
Very nice. Very nice. And you know what? I think you're liking that setup, Dave, even with a drum magazine. Really good stuff. Some of those follow-up shots that you were making, I mean, they were really tight around the center. Good stuff.